Hello, my name's Chris Bussell. I've been homeless twice over a 2-year period in Oxford, and I came to Oxford originally to study at Ruskin College. I've got a long history of mental illness, namely depression, and I have had a reoccurring bout of depression after my mother died, so I wasn't able to complete the college course, so I've deferred till January 2006. Unfortunately, that's left me homeless again, so I'm sleeping in my car because of a shortage of accommodation for rough sleepers in and around Oxford. There appear to be a lot of homeless people in Oxford, and historically I think that it's most probably attracted a lot of people because they would have been set up by the churches, and before the statutory agencies like social services or mental health teams, people would have been looked after by the churches. Politically, sometimes it's been a dumping ground and wanted people out of London, but there's a lot of goodwill for people that are homeless in Oxford. Not necessarily a lot of facilities to support those all the people that arrive, and I think that's it's always going to be a real problem for Oxford. If you go to the night shelter, which is which is where you're directed from housing, up until very, very recently they were sleeping in porta cabins, and it was suggested that I go and stay in the night shelter. And I said to the housing officer, "Have you been there?" And she said, "Oh yes." And I said, "Would you stay there?" And she said, "Oh no." And I said, "Well, why are you sending me there?" It was like a facility was being provided, but it wasn't humane for people to stay in there. Facilities are a lot better in there now. You go into a double bedroom to start with, and then go into a single room afterwards, which you can lock up. But they tend to be aimed towards people with drug and alcohol problems, which for somebody like me, which has got a mental health problem, it makes it a little bit restricting. I don't feel that I got the freedom that I deserve. So I've chosen really to stay in my car, which gives me although it may sound restrictive, actually I can come and go as I please. The downside of that is that I have to use the drop-in centres that have got the showering and laundry facilities, but thank goodness they're there, or else I would be stuck. What do I think most people think of homeless people in Oxford? I'm sure some people think they're a nuisance and they should be moved on, but eventually somebody's got to deal with the problem, and it's most probably better to have it in an area where a lot of agencies are well set up to deal with it. There are always going to be people that still slip through the net. But one of the reasons for the colleges and the universities being here is that they're training the new social workers, the new nurses, the new lawyers that are going to have to deal with the problems anyway. So it's quite a good catchment area for them to train in. Looking forward to 2015, the future for Oxford. The one thing I'd really like to see in Oxford is affordable housing. It's an incredibly expensive city to buy a house, which must put a lot of strain on the housing market. And of course you've got 30,000 students, so the rent-to-buy market or the buy-to-rent market must be incredibly tempting for people, and I'm sure there's a lot of people that have made a lot of money out of renting accommodation. Things could be made a lot better in Oxford by building a lot more housing, a lot more affordable housing, not just for people that are homeless or with mental health problems, but across the whole spectrum. I think it needs to be a government-led policy that filters down through local government, because you need people to be not just in the top of society, but servicing the needs in the bottom of society as well.